If you want to add a printer, then click the Add a Printer button, and any printers that are available, either locally attached via USB or on a wired or a wireless network that are available to you that Windows can see, will appear in the list. And you can see here that we've got an HP PhotoSmart printer, and this is a wirelessly connected printer here, and we can see its IP address. And there's a network connected printer here that is available through a device called N3, which in this case is actually a network drive. Now, if the printer that you want appears here and you want to install it, then just click Next and Windows will install the driver. It's already installed here, so I'm sort of reinstalling it. So it'll say, do you want to use the driver that's currently installed or replace the current driver? Now let's say in this case that the printer has been causing some trouble, some hassle. I want to replace the current driver. So I'll click replace, it'll ask me for a name, and then it'll ask me if I want to share the printer. Well, if you'll want to share the printer if you're on a home network and the printer is attached via something like USB, but this is a Wi-Fi printer, so all of the PCs here can see it anyway, so I don't need to share it. But if you do share, you can change various parameters here, such as making a comment. Now let's say you're in a business environment and you have 2 or 3 printers. You have a general purpose monochrome laser printer, you have a photo printer, and you want people, generally speaking, to use the monochrome printer because you need to reduce costs. So you can add a comment and you can say, use this printer for general printing, and that will be a message that will appear for users of those printers who will see that that's the one you want them to use. But we're not going to share the printer in this instance. Now, we've got an option here to set it as the default printer and to print a test page. Well, we do want it as the default printer, so we'll click Finish, and now our printer is installed. So what if you want to add a printer and the printer that you want to add isn't found automatically by Windows? Well, here we have a button called the printer I want isn't listed, and if we click this, we're given various options. Now, the one you're probably most likely to want to use in the business space is the first one. Select a shared printer by name. You might have a printer on the company network, and you will need a network address, as in the example given here by Windows, of computer name and printer name, and you'll need to go to your systems administrator and ask them either what the path and the name of the printer is, or if you are the systems administrator, this is the information that you would need to provide to users who are setting up the printer on their PCs. You may have a printer that you can add directly by its TCP/IP address on the local network. Now, you remember when we were adding the printer before, it was a Wi-Fi printer and it automatically showed up the IP address of the printer. Now, it's possible that there may be some circumstances in which the IP address is not going to show up in Windows. Windows isn't going to see that network printer for one reason or another, and you'll need to enter the IP address manually, and this is where you'll do it. If the printer connects via Bluetooth or another wireless technology and hasn't been seen, then you can select it here. You'll need to make sure that Bluetooth is turned on your PC, and you can do that in the control panel. Or you can add a local printer with manual settings, and it's here that you would add, for instance, an old parallel printer. And if you click next, then you'll be asked for the port that the printer is on, and you'll see the old LPT1 and COM1 parallel and serial ports that you, if you were using printers and computers back in the days when parallel and serial printers were the de facto standard, you'll probably remember as fondly as I do. There's additional options here, such as a print to file option, a TCP/IP IP address here, and additional options. But you're most likely to be adding a parallel or serial port printer, and that's where you can do it. If the port isn't listed, you can create a new local port. Perhaps there's a configuration issue with your particular hardware in this PC. Let's say you've got a plug-in expansion card that needs correctly configuring, and you need to manually create a parallel or serial port on that within Windows. Well, this is where you can do it. So let's say we're going to use LPT1. We're trying to connect a parallel printer, and at the next page, and bearing in mind this page will also appear if you try and add a printer via TCP/IP or via its network location. This option will appear for all of those. If I go back and I'll show you, let's say we want to select a printer by its name, then it will still give you that same option screen that we were looking at. So here we have a list of printer manufacturers. We have a list of their printers, and these are printers for which the drivers come with your version of Windows. This list will vary depending on which version of Windows you have. If you have Windows 7, for example, you won't have quite as many drivers available to you as if you're using Windows 8.1, which will come with more. Although in Windows 8.1 you might lose some legacy printer drivers that were in Windows 7 and have previously been dropped. Now, you can also search Windows Update for the appropriate driver. Let's say we have a Toshiba printer here. We can search, we can select the printer, we can search Windows Update to see if a driver is available, or you can click the Have Disk button and specify. Oh, look, he's looking for a floppy disk drive. This is a blast from the past as well. Looking for legacy hardware. You can specify the location of the file that your printer driver is located on, and using this method you can install pretty much any printer, whether it's a new USB or Thunderbolt printer, whether it is a Wi-Fi or network connected printer in the home or in an enterprise workspace, or whether it is an old parallel or serial printer. The Devices and Printers panel tools for adding any type of printer are extremely good in both Windows 7 and Windows 8. Adding a printer in Windows 7 is slightly different. If you click the Add a Printer button, then you'll be presented with a dialog asking if you want to add a local printer, such as one attached via USB, or a network, wireless, or Bluetooth printer. Whatever you click, the options are then exactly the same as I detailed in the Windows 8 example, and everything else remains the same.